everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Black Fat Film Podcast, where all the intersections of identity are celebrated. I'm one of your hosts, John, also known as Dr. John Paul, and I am here to represent everyone who has turned 40 and has had their bodies turn on them. Because why does my neck hurt like this? Why are my knees cracking like an old door? Why can't I eat fried foods like the way I used to, baby? Let me tell you real quick before we jump into the show. I had to travel. I'm here. I'm currently, for those of you who are watching, I'm not at home. I'm in Seattle. Shout out to FatCon. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. But what I was going to say is I was driving to the airport and I was like, oh, I'm going to stop and get something to eat. And then there was a part of me that was like, okay, I'll just whip through. And then there was a part of me that was like, girl, you're about to be on a plane for 3 hours. So you can't have beans. You can't have anything fried. What you gonna do? And I was like, but I'm hungry.
Not no beans.
I was like, that's literally the life that I lead now as someone who is above the age of 40, is having to remind myself of like, you don't want to put yourself in a situation you can't get out of. But anyway, all that to be said, how are you, my love?
Lovelies, it's your bestie Jordan, aka Joho, and I'm here, girl. I'm here. It's been a wild week for me, divas. Like I am tired as hell. I am barely making it through. I'm on here eyebrowless, which is atypical for me. I'm like, oh no. Usually I'll do them as we're about to record. As like, it's one of my moments where I get to like settle into my body. Like, let me just.
It's a ritual.
Exactly. And today there was no ritual. And so now I'm like, I might snap and destroy something with somebody. But I'm excited because next week I'll be in DC for a big gathering of queer folks. That's gonna be so much fun. So I'm like holding on to the joy that I'll have for next week to be amazing and fun. But right now, girl.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with the fats. I'm really excited to head downstairs and be with my fat family.
Fats,
Yes, I love it. Well, with that being said, we are definitely not by ourselves this week. We have a wonderful person in our third seat. Our guest today is an Emmy-nominated actor, writer, and producer whose groundbreaking work has reshaped how transgender stories are told on stage and on screen. As the first openly transgender actor to play a major role on daytime television, I know the stories, honey. You got to play a role in the stories. That's what Black people think. Those are my stories. Funny sideline, shout out to my husband because he knows I love 911. 911 is my show. And he looked at me after it went off this past week and he said, this is a soap opera, right? And I was like, yes. 911 is a soap opera. Yes, it is.
One of the best ones, girl.
It's my stories, yes. But anyway, all that to be said, they are the first one of the first out trans men recognized with an Emmy nomination for acting. I know that's right. Come on, first. And I know you also, this person has a whole thing where they talk about why these first are problematic, which I also am here for. I love the idea of being able to say two things can exist at the same time. Yes, being a first to something is great, but it also sucks because that means that we need more. But anyway, you have opened the door for access to the entertainment industry. Please welcome to the show, Scott Turner. How do I say your last name?
Schofield.
Okay, pleasure.
Schofield. It's actually
Schofield. All right.
That's my bad.
Yes,
you know why? Because
Schofield.
I was like, no, what? It's giving very Jewish last name, and I was
yes,
like,
and I'll take it.
Yes, we love it. And so people who know our show, they know I love the Jewish community. Yes,
I married into a Jewish family, but it is not.
Yes, I love it.
How are you, boo?
I'm very happy to be here, y'all. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, your guest roster reads like an honor roll of people I admire, like colleagues I'm proud of, humans I love. So I'm just like, I'm very honored to be here. And also, this is the very first podcast that I'm doing in support of my new film, Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps, like, I really believe in like magic and signs. And so to be here with you both just feels very auspicious. So thank you.
That
I
means
love
so
that
much to
word.
hear, and may it be the first of many, and may it be a joyous first, and not
Thank you.
the other first that some of the aforementioned first that put pressure and frustration. Let us be a good joyous first.
Thank
Well,
you.
Yes, yes.
we're gonna kick our show that we do every week by giving Miss Tisha Campbell her flowers in our Still Here segment. And being that we are the top of the year, I want to just take a moment to ask us, what does thriving look like for us this season? I'll start first. We'll pass it to our guests, and then we'll go to John. And so for me, I'm spending this quarter really habit building. I'm trying to build two habits or rebuild two habits each month. Each
Mm.
girl, I cannot English. Each month,
Each munch.
girl, she hungry. Girl, she
Each
hungry.
munch, yes.
Yeah,
Each
munch, munch,
munch,
crunch, crunch.
Each
Building two
brunch.
yes.
habits.
Building brunch habits.
Building
Mhm.
brunch habits would be amazing. I love a good brunch habit. Building two habits each month. A little tongue twister for a girl. And focusing on doing well with them. So for me, like, thriving looks like building the blocks that I need in the first part of the year to achieve what I want to do the other parts of the year. So like one thing
Yeah.
this month, my focus for January is building a better sleep schedule and working out more consistently. Like having an actual schedule of movement time, and then sleep time, and like how to incorporate the movement time during travel as well too, because I'm traveling this month. So how do I still say, okay, I'm going to make sure I walk to my conference, or that I use the gym in the hotel twice this week or something.
Mm.
February is going to be focused on cooking more and going out less. Not through a lens of being a recession indicator, because people would say recession indicators when people stay home and lose weight.
Not
That's
going
not what I'm
out.
trying to do either.
Yeah.
But like really more focused on like caring for myself and showing myself love in this way by making the meals for myself, my body, and my and my loved ones. So my February goal will be to spend more time cooking and get myself out to do like one big walk. And when I mean big walk, I mean like a good 2-3 mile walk around my city. Month three will be about staying my ass home. How to build a habit of staying home and saying no. So March will be my no month of like people ask me
Hmm.
things that if I'm not jumping for joy, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no, and that's the habit I'm
I
trying to build
love
there.
all of
You,
this.
what's her name? The lady who went over to Netflix and left ABC. Shonda Rhimes. Doesn't she have like a book called A Year
The
Yes?
year of yes,
Yeah,
which I read in
your
Month of
book was
2016.
no.
going.
So that book
Yeah,
was
your book
transformative
is
for me.
gonna
The
be
year
the
of
month of
yes.
no.
Well, so she has a whole part in the book about when you know how to say yes, you know how to say no. I never learned that lesson, but I do have the
Hmm.
book on my bookshelf right next to me. I've read it 3 times actually, because I'm
Yeah.
like I'm almost trying to do my year of yes, and as I said earlier, I yes too hard to the sun. I girl boss and said yes
Yes.
to too many things, and now I'm stressed. So time to
Yeah.
say no.
Very much that. What about you, Scott? What's on your mind?
Thriving. I mean, okay. So I think it really looks like not allowing that harsh inner critic to take up space and create obstacles,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
So like I'm releasing literally my life's work, which is vulnerable
Yeah.
enough, and now it's in a moment where like so much is going on in the world that inner critic voice is like, everything else is way more important than anything I could say, right? And so like standing up to that voice and that's really kind of growing me, which is, I think growing is my idea of thriving, right? Like recognizing that
I love that.
sharing 25 years of my life as an out trans man is valuable, and that the message that I'm sending with a story that doesn't focus on transition or trauma, that goes really deep into a nuanced perspective of living a trans life, like that is actually really important right now, not because it's my life, but because our lives broadly are being reduced into inflammatory headlines, right, at
Yeah.
such a magnitude, right? And it puts me at risk to do this when Project 2025 says that like work like mine is pornographic and I should be registered as a sex offender, and when the FBI is offering bounty for information about us because we're considered nihilistic violent extremists. Like, what you risk reveals what you value. So I think my thriving is coming into valuing the act of telling really vulnerable stories as power.
Mm. Hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So thank you for that question, because I
Yeah.
just
The whole
got
word.
it for
The
so
whole
myself.
much,
word.
Scott. Wow.
Yeah, I think it's just so funny because and we've said on this show here in so many different capacities, it's like sometimes you just have to listen to the universe because the universe is speaking. And I feel like the universe has really been trying to like get through to me this week. And your both of your responses have been very timely for me, but
Mm.
kind of to the point I had put something here and now I'm kind of like I don't necessarily want to retract it, but I think I kind of want to shift it a little bit. I think so I'll say this, I think there is a conversation piece here about giving yourself credit and saying that you've done enough and your enough is the showing up part. You keep showing up and you've been showing up. And so I think I keep thinking about that this week. I've had so many, even after like 2025 was such a blow to me because I got so
Mm.
many no's after years of feeling like I was working towards yeses, and then to go right back into 2026 and to be right back in the same position where I'm getting more no's and having
Mm.
to kind of like sit with those no's. There's a part of me that's also sitting with this idea of like, but you've still done enough. Even with those
Mm.
no's, you've still done enough. You have a podcast, you have a book, you teach, you've spoken at all of these schools, you have this following that people are finding you and they're finding your work, so you've done enough. And so I think I'm trying to
Mm.
sit in that, but there's also a part of me, and this is where to the point of what I wrote down, there's a part of me that's saying that I still have to keep pushing through. Like even when I don't, I think that's what my Q1 goal is like, I could be discouraged about, I'm writing a short and I'm trying to get it filmed. I could be discouraged with all of the feedback I'm getting around it, but there's still a part of me that's like, no, you're going to do it. You need to do it. So you're going to do it. And like pushing through with that, even with all of the no's that I'm getting, and just, thinking about, and for those of you who are like, well, what is John going off about? Um, there's just so many things that have fallen through. People have changed their minds. Money has gone. Folks haven't followed up. I didn't get a job I really wanted, at the top of the year. Then there's also, also thinking about there was something else with Netflix that I really wanted that I didn't get. There's just like, it literally just feels like when it rains, it pours for me these last couple of weeks. And I'm just kind of sitting in it being like, okay, God, I'm ready to sprout now. But I also think to myself, the thing I want to say is like, we've got to keep getting up because there are other people who are looking at us for that. They're looking to us as being I wouldn't say the leaders, but the people who get up. And so they're looking at us saying, well, if John
Mm.
can go through all these terrible things and get back up, then so can I. And so I think that's the thing
Mm.
I'm focusing on, and talking about thriving is to just keep getting up. Just keep getting up. So
Long
yeah,
may it be
that's where
so.
I'm yeah, that's
Mm.
where I'm
Mm.
Well, now that we've got you thinking about how to make it click in 2026, we are going to take a quick break and come back with our guest. We'll be back in a second. All right, y'all. So we are back with the category is segment, and I am really excited to get into kind of this conversation with you. I know that we have been engaging with the theme of your latest film, and one of the things that came up that I thought would be really good for this conversation is a talk or a conversation around the idea of fitting in a world that sometimes feels like it is intentionally overlooking you. And honey, Hollywood is definitely saying, I don't see it for anybody. That ain't us. And so, what I wanted to do is, I wanted, to really kind of ask you, what made you want to act? And did you see any models of trans men in the industry or any models that you felt like you could connect with? And how did that visibility, that lack of visibility impact you and the want that you have for being in the industry?
Mm, mm. Well, okay, so what made me wanna act? Mental illness, no. I just like, I just kinda came out that way,
Mm-hmm.
I was the kid who was, dancing in front of the TV, making people watch me,
Yeah.
and no, I didn't have any role models.
Mm,
When I was growing up, we didn't even have language, right? It there was
mhm,
nothing. I think back, I was in the very earliest moments of transitioning and by that I mean just starting to become aware that trans men even
mhm.
existed. Speaking about
Yeah,
visibility,
yeah.
right? Um, when Boys Don't Cry landed.
Okay.
So that was
Mm-hmm.
fun. Right. To the question of visibility, it's funny because like literally just 2 days ago, I saw online that there's some trans guy or guys somewhere playing like the oppression
Yeah.
Olympics by saying that like trans women are somehow hogging the spotlight with their visibility. And I literally went into the comments and was like, name names, tag tags. Okay, this person or people needs educating immediately. It is an emergency. Okay. Like, I don't have to get into it. We know like trans women are more visible because of misogyny, right? And transphobia and our culture that scrutinizes and attacks femininity, right? Like, this is not visibility anybody wants or enjoys. I could go off. Other people
No,
already have, so
yeah,
I'm not
you're
going to.
you're 100% right. You are so right. Mm-hmm.
But what? Thank you. I love to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But like what I do want to talk about transmasculine and visibility as its own kind of
Yeah.
harm that needs to be held in its own way,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I see a lot of folks in culture just kind of really deciding that trans men become men and suddenly just assume all of the privileges of cis
Right.
men when like yes, okay, can confirm, can walk down the street at night in ways that I couldn't before. People absolutely listen to my voice, and they've all been trained to just like listen to my voice and pay attention to me, right? And when you are white and blend really seamlessly into conventional masculinity, right, that is even more
Yeah.
so. Can confirm 100% that is absolutely happening, no argument. And it's not the end of the story because you're still a trans person in this world. And when I'm interfacing with the forces in culture that trade in gender as power, I'm not a man.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't get male privilege. You are at best considered a mentally ill woman, okay, by those forces in culture. And I can confirm also the powerlessness and the violent danger of that reality. So, like, to get into the nuance of transmasculine invisibility, we grow up, we have no role models, which is why so many trans men are out here being visible when we don't have to, right? Because we don't want anybody else to go through that, because that is soul destroying,
Yeah.
right? It teaches you you don't exist, maybe you don't deserve to exist, that there's no future for you, there's no hope. And so, ergo, 51% of transgender male adolescents reported at least one suicide attempt, okay, which is more than triple the rate of their non-transgender
Yeah.
peers. Okay. Trevor Project reported in 2024 that 18% of transgender men, and that was like youth and young adults, right, had attempted, okay, in the last year. So, like, my line on this is visibility is what gets trans women killed. Invisibility kills trans men. Okay. And that's one of the stories, as you saw in 127 Easy
Yeah.
Steps, right? And it had to be because it wasn't something I could skirt
Right.
around because it's so common. I mean, in my experience, like 90% of trans men have attempted to take their own lives. And, you know, in the film, I talk about it as silence rather than a lack of visibility, like having to keep silent,
Having to
being
hold
met
that.
with
Yeah, having to
silence.
hold that. That's very, and I was gonna say, I do wanna give you kudos because I did see that Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps. You won an award for it, and I think that it's important to know that you're doing something that, again, a lot of people have a lot of such a hard time with coming kind of to terms with. You're telling your story in a very authentic way. But I did want to say the setup for your film is you sharing how challenging it is to find roles as being a trans man. And I know that you've been talking about the visibility piece of it, right? And so looking for roles where you can see yourself, looking for roles where you feel like they're not just making fun of the trans experience, which I know that is very hard because when you think of the intersectionality or the intersectional pieces of the industry, right? There's so many people who don't truly get it. And so I did want to ask you, as you begin to explore and uncover your own life story, how did you decide which ones to tell? How did you come to terms with wanting to tell that story about your own lived experience?
Well, I mean, I started telling these stories in the early
Mhm.
2000s when I started my transition because first of all, because there was no other way for me to
Yeah.
act, right? I just wanted to be an actor. That's all I wanted.
Mm.
Um, um, but also because there just weren't that many stories and I needed them so
Yeah.
badly that I was just like, well, okay, I got to do this myself then, I guess. Right. And then as an artistic project, I kind of really enjoyed finding new and different ways of telling stories because people forget, right? Like I'm trans, but I'm an artist,
Right. You're creative.
right?
You're an
Like
artist.
artist is
Yes.
actually my bigger
Yeah. Yeah.
identity. It's like who I am, right? So finding these different ways to tell those stories and finding different metaphors and nuances to describe the many different facets, the 127 steps, right, of that experience that I was living over the
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think that, talking about you wanting to kind of shine, I think, that's the thing I love about doing this podcast. And I think about just doing any type of work in the industry. You don't realize how much you become a light or a beacon for other people to utilize their creativity or utilize their own stories as motivations to build, right? And I think that's what I feel like you've done with you've done with your movie. You've really given people the opportunity to say you can take this really terrible thing that has happened to you or the feelings that you have had in your journey, and you can turn that into magic. And so like I said, I definitely love to give kudos to folks who are out there doing, and then again, you're doing it on your own. You're not doing it with the support of the industry. And I think that's the thing that really grinds my gears is is knowing that there's so many people in the
You and me
industry. I
both.
know there are people in the industry who are saying, oh, tell your story, be creative, do these things, but yet
Just be
be
you.
you. But then turn around when you
Yeah.
say, okay,
Be your
can you
authentic
support
self.
me while I be me? And very getting very little support in that. So I definitely want to give you your,
Yeah.
go ahead. Mhm.
That means a
Yeah.
lot. Thank you. It was interesting when I made this, and I didn't do it myself.
Hmm.
Andrea James and Puppet
Hmm.
directed it. There was a whole team of amazing trans
Right.
artists that came on,
Right.
and then cis allies who came in clutch when necessary and worked for free or very
Hmm.
little as cis allies, which I thought was really cool of them. But when we finally, we were able to achieve what we were able to achieve,
Hmm.
right, on 130,000 crowdfunded dollars,
Hmm.
right? So there's the work of the crowdfunding
Yeah.
first, and then there's the work of making it, and of making it where and I should say, like, these are folks who didn't get all their success while cis and then come
Hmm.
out, and
Hmm.
no shade,
Hmm.
that is what
Hmm.
happened,
Hmm.
right? Um, and so these are folks who didn't have the same professional development opportunities,
Yeah.
right? Right, like, and so I got, then when I started taking it, because I'm very privileged because of my job as a
Hmm.
consultant, that I have these contacts in these high level
Right.
places, right?
Right.
Like, and I said, I was all excited and I was like, I made this, it's my life's work. I'm so excited to share this with you. And the Hollywood feedback I got was destroying. Like,
Mm.
it really, it was like, people were like, well, sort of like thinking like it's not slick and it's not, and I could go, like a Netflix special is just a person standing in front of a red
Yeah.
curtain.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like, look at what I did.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Like, I did the most compared to that,
Right.
by the way.
Right. Right. Right.
Do you know
Right.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's creative, it's imaginative, it's
Hmm.
different than a
Hmm.
special, than a Netflix special, but I don't think it's worse.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Yeah.
Um, and then to get the audience feedback from the people who actually watch it, who aren't putting that it's got to be in this box kind of
Hmm.
form on it, that the response is exactly what I was hoping
Yeah.
for. That people, feel moved, see what the heart of the project is, feel what I'm trying to do with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's really
I think the
important.
one thing too that I hear you saying in your trajectory is also being mindful. And this is actually one of the questions. I'm going to get to it, but I think the bigger thing that I hear you saying, and I also feel like it's very timely that I hear you saying this, because I'm setting out. A lot of folks know, some folks around me know this, but I'm setting out to do a short, and some of the
Oh, great.
feedback that you get, and setting and saying I'm going to do this creative thing in an industry that's not giving me the support or the funding or the platform to do it. A lot of people, their number one question is why, or this is hard, or why should you? And it's very discouraging. And so I think for me to hear
Mhm.
you say, even with the discouragement, that you're still I think that's the crux of this conversation is betting on yourself, betting on your story, and knowing that your story
Yes.
is more than what the world gives you, right? Like knowing that your story is that more is that important. I think that's the thing I'm hearing, and I'm so grateful. Like I said, I'm so grateful that I got to meet you and got to see that, right? I got to see you betting on yourself in a way that the industry never lets you. So the other question that I wanted to ask, kind of in tandem to that, is thinking about the ways that the industry tolerates us uh,
Mm.
versus being accepted.
Hmm.
Right? People say we love you, we
Yeah.
love what you stand for, but it often feels like when you're in spaces you're being tolerated. And so I would love to ask you, what advice would you give to someone who is trans, who is either going through their trans experience, black, queer, whatever the case may be, and they're struggling to feel like they're actually included in the industry. Is there a behavior or a practice or something that has helped you feel like
Mhm.
you're like, how do you ground yourself? I guess that's the question that I
Yeah,
would love to ask.
absolutely. Well, I mean, it's not just entertainment
Hmm.
spaces,
Hmm.
right? It's everywhere at this point. I mean, the last few years, I have watched, I mean, like I talk about this all the time. I started doing activism over 20 years
Hmm.
ago, right? And it was a very different world 20 years ago. It was better
Hmm.
20 years ago.
Hmm.
And I mean, we could get to that, but in the last just couple of years, I've watched even the most progressive liberal people turn against
Hmm.
trans people,
Hmm.
which is by
Yeah,
design,
it
okay?
is.
And what they don't even, right? They don't even know that they've been led down the garden path by the Heritage
Hmm.
Foundation and a bunch of other really far right hate
Hmm.
groups who have taken over the media. They won't believe that, first of all, and who they would never agree with on any other issue, and they would be shocked and horrified to know that they agreed with on this one, right?
Hmm.
And so that aside, I
No, and no,
soapbox.
it is not a
Um,
soapbox. This is the
it's
space for it, honey. Go off.
Thank you.
Go off.
Well, thank you.
Hmm.
Don't worry, I will.
I'm kidding.
That should be my memoir. Don't worry, I
Yeah,
will.
yeah,
Um, right, but I've been living an out trans life for
yeah.
25
Hmm.
years since I was a teenager in Atlanta, Georgia, okay? Like, I have lived a lot of this
Hmm.
life, and I still struggle with that lack of acceptance. Well, acceptance isn't even the word, honestly.
Hmm.
What I want for us is to be embraced in our vulnerability. I want us to be celebrated for our unique contributions, and we have many. And I just want, other than that, to be let be, be able to be just like part of the whole for the rest of life.
Hmm.
And the opposite of that is happening for us right
Yeah.
now. So, to anyone who's struggling, I'm going to say that's by design. You're not alone. And if I had anything to offer, I guess I would say that the practice that is grounding me is kind of what you were just
Hmm.
saying, actually. Really digging into believing myself and trusting that I am
Hmm.
right, right? I had to do that as a kid because I was a very clearly trans
Hmm.
child, like, there was no question, and all these grown-ups, rather than just having a word and a way to refer to a child who's obviously living this experience,
Yeah.
right? Right? Instead, they sent me all these incredibly confusing and damaging messages about
Hmm.
myself, right? So I had to, at a very early age, go, no, I'm right and they're wrong,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And now I see, and I struggle myself with. I see a lot of trans adults who struggle with this lack of self
Hmm.
trust, which is a symptom of that
Yeah.
trauma. Um, and so when I start to say, like, I don't know, maybe they're right, maybe I shouldn't be so, or whatever, the practice that I'm doing is going, no, mm-mm, I am
Hmm.
right. I am right to feel how I feel. I am seeing all of this correctly. And if nobody else will have my back, I will.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
And then I think about history, I think about what I mean by that is, like, I think about who I want to have been when people look back in
Now that's a
history,
word. That's a word. Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know? I wanna and you're being this person right now. This is like, you are collecting all of this for us, and you are being this yourself, so I just wanna thank you for
No,
that,
yeah,
right?
thank you. I mean,
You know?
I'm trying not to get emotional because I think you're saying it has been, I say these last couple of weeks has been, it's for not even just for me, I think for all, I think for everybody who is trying to do the right thing and who wants to be good people
Mhm.
and who
Mhm.
continue to want to change the world. I think we're all feeling it in some capacity. And so I think you saying that, it really speaks to, I had posted something earlier online, this week, and it's very interesting because it's like so many people will try to gaslight you around your own lived experience, and you're like, I'm living it, I know what I'm feeling, I know what I'm seeing, I know what I'm experiencing, and
Mhm.
people will be like, no, that's not what it is. And it's
Mhm.
like, well, but you've never walked a day in my life, so how can you tell? Okay,
Right.
and so I think that, you saying that is very validating. I think for a lot of folks who will be
Yeah.
listening to this interview or will be listening to this talk, they're going to hear in it, and the I would say the thing that I'm taking the most out of this talk is the idea that we have to genuinely stay grounded in knowing that our truth is our truth and no one's going to change that. I think about it
Mhm.
from the perspective of, like, I have a friend, shout out to Jamanika, who does a lot of stuff around sexual assault, and that's constantly the message that I hear her pushing as she does her work. Survivors have
Mm.
stories. Their stories are their stories. No one's going to change those stories, even if you don't believe them.
Mhm.
And I think the same thing can be said
Mm.
for queer people too, right? Our stories are our stories,
100%.
and we're never, and no one's going to ever be able to change them. I think the last thing I really wanted to hit on, and I see you as such a beautiful and lively. I would say there's such a beautiful light around you. I think the question that
Thank
I
you.
would love to ask you is, how do you protect that magic and that light in an industry that can often be so dark? How do you take care of yourself? And I mean, and I'm asking the same question of myself, child, because I go through it too. But I'm wondering, like, how do you take care of yourself emotionally and physically in a space that's not fully committed to understanding or affirming the stories that you're wanting to tell?
Mm. I'm so grateful for this conversation because it's like I need to be having this conversation right now. So
Hmm.
thank you.
Hmm.
Right. Like, um, I, okay. So, I mean, unfortunately, I don't think we can do that right now. Like, we are under attack all the
Yeah.
time from every direction. Um, so I don't know that it would be like, well, I mean, I think we're all fighting all of the time. I think that's how we're protecting. And
Mm,
like, I love like Lama Rod and like Love and Rage, right? And the idea that like our anger is about injustice that's being done.
mhm.
And when it comes up within us, when we're angry, it's because we're fighting for
Yeah,
ourselves,
yeah.
right? So like, there's that. Um, I think I think what I want for myself, I'll speak from my own, I don't want to tell anybody else what to do, but I tell you what I want for myself.
Mhm.
I need to be much more intentional. Ugh. I need to be much more
Intentionable. Love it.
intentional.
I love
Where
it.
did that come from?
Yes.
I need
Mm,
to, it's a new word. Um, I need to be much more intentional about self care
mm.
all of the time. And I don't mean like those ways that we pretend our self-care, like canceling on your friends the day you're supposed to go out, or like indulging in the scroll, right? Because, or whatever form of self-medication you do, right? Because you feel overwhelmed. And yes, that's real. And
Me
like
at
we got to
Krispy
do it, but like,
Kreme. Read me. Drag me.
oh,
Drag
Chris,
me. I had a hard day, so I'm gonna go get a donut. Oh, yes. Go ahead. Drag me. Drag
you know what
me.
I
Go off.
mean? I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
have a hard time. So I'm having a hard day. I'm going to not work and spend
Right.
4 hours on the
Right.
scroll.
Right.
Do you
Right.
know what
I
I
feel
mean?
you. I
Like,
feel you. Yeah.
okay, like, yes, right? Like, I don't mean that. That's
Hmm.
not self-care. I, it, I feel like it's about taking proactive care of your body, mind, and
Mm,
spirit every
hmm.
day. And like if I go to my like yoga teacher speak, like in whatever ways you have access to this day, right?
Hmm.
Whatever
Hmm.
however you are capable of doing in that moment, right? But it's doing that because, and this goes back to our belief conversation, you matter so much and we will never ever win without
Right.
you.
Right.
you know Recognizing and believing in your own worth and importance in this world, it, we are so important that these oligarchs would rather start World War III than let us exist.
Yeah.
Like, do you know? Like, we live rent free in their souls. You know what I'm saying? We make them murderously insane. That's power, actually. Yeah. Okay. And we need to embody that. And embodying that does take a certain kind of exercise, right? And that exercise is whatever you do that truly nourishes you. I am listening to myself, trying to put this in my head, right? And in my whole self, right? Because I unfortunately am not super optimistic about the next few years.
Same.
I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I want us to be okay.
Yeah.
I want us to win so much. I can't wait for the time when, and I do believe too, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I do believe there will be a time when we will have a real reckoning on this, and it will shift some things. I believe we were so close to it that they had to destroy it.
Yeah.
Right. So we will be back here. We will be back there where we were just a couple of years ago. And it wasn't perfect by any means, but we were getting better. Right. Like, but we have to take care of ourselves and each other.
I definitely, I hear you so loud and clear on that. And I will say, I often have reminded a lot of folks, that what we're seeing, what we have seen is white supremacy, that all of the oppressions, and we've talked about this on the show, all oppressions are connected. But what we're seeing is the folks in positions of power knowing that their power is going to be one day redistributed, and folks doing everything that they can to try to hold on to it. And I think that that's the thing we have to remind ourselves of, is that we didn't start. And I think that's the other thing that, I hear you saying, we didn't create this. And I think a lot of us feel like we have to take on the responsibility of fixing the systems that are present. And I think hearing you say, do what you need to do to take care of you, reminding yourself, this ain't got that it impacts me, but it is not my job or my responsibility to carry all of that. Is so It's so important to hear that right now. I think it is so necessary to hear that right now, because I am one of those people that feels like, I have to fix the world, or I have to do this. I need to be the change in this world. And it's like, we can't take all of that on. We can't take all of that on.
Absolutely.
I really just appreciate you being so open and so honest. And if you want to talk to us a little bit more about the film, is where can we find it? More information that folks can ultimately learn more about it. I think that would be awesome to hear as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the film is going to be available to rent on. It's Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps. So it's coming out on 1/27, January 27th.
Oh, that's smart. So smart.
I thought it was so brilliant 8 months ago. And now I'm like, is World War III going to be happening? Like, what are we doing?
Will they
like, is this the time?
Yes. Yeah, well, Apple TV can be a thing, child. Yes.
So right, so we're on Kinema, and I'm so excited. I'm an evangelist for Kinema. Kinema was started by two amazing women who really saw the distribution problem of Hollywood, right? And when I was like working at GLAAD and really kind of like in the machinery of media, I really witnessed that there was a bottleneck at green lighting, right? So just getting the money whatsoever to do your project. And then if you somehow managed to make a project, then it came to distribution. Huge bottleneck there. And these are gatekeepers who decide what gets to go through the funnel out into, are you going to be in 150 theaters? Are you going to be in thousands of theaters? Are you even going to be in theaters, et cetera, right? So, and what they were noticing was stories like ours don't ever even make it through that funnel. And stories like ours are some of the best, cool, most amazing new forms of storytelling, getting into things that need to be talked about, right? So they started this platform, Kinema, and it's like cinema with a K.
Okay.
And what I love the most about it is it's just like any other streamer. You can go on, you can rent stuff, you can watch stuff for free. But because of the work that they're mostly promoting, it's they create these ways for us to watch together. So you can have a watch party. They make it possible for you to, like, you could rent a theater and put it in a movie theater, or you can just have, your group chat wherever you all are. You can all watch a movie at the same time, right? But also then they make it possible to do fundraisers. So because so many of the films are social issues films, I did a really amazing one. Peppermint and Vico Ortiz came on and supported me raising funds for Lambda Legal, right?
Okay.
And so just people watching that. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, what's going to be the best? And it may be Lambda Legal again, like who's going to be the best recipient of funds from this? And they make it seamless. Like I don't even have to, I just choose and press the buttons and then it's there.
Yeah.
So it just does, it's for, Kinema is really for work that is socially engaged, because you can engage people socially and you can engage the social issues, and that felt like hands down where I wanted to be for this
I love
work.
it. I love it. Yeah, that's I think the one thing I will say about that is that when we can do work that often uplifts the other work that's out there, that for me is where my heart lives. My heart lives is like, yes, that's the reason why I'm doing this. That is the reason. And that's ultimately why the show exists. The show exists because in my mind I was thinking, we're not given the platforms, we're not given the opportunities to talk about our issues, but also uplift other people as they're doing their work. And so I'm just so grateful that I got a chance to get to know you. A chance to see your work, get to uplift and support your work. And yeah, this
Thank
was
you.
such a beautiful conversation. So with that being said, we are going to take our second break. And now that we have to be seen in green, come on, the Wiz reference. We are going to take a quick break and come back with more show. We'll be back in a second.
Okay, fam, we are back, and this week for What's Poppin', we discuss a thing that feels like everyone on the internet is still talking about, the culture recess of it all, if you will. But instead of addressing our sisters directly, not just because it's reductive, honestly, it is reductive, because it doesn't really move the conversation forward either. We want to talk more about what was said and the impact that it might have specifically in this moment. So I'll first say, like, I've had a few conversations about this, actually, and the deeper meaning that the underlying through line discussion I've had with people is really about how we use our platform responsibly or irresponsibly to discuss what we believe in and how, right? And then and then also
Mhm.
thinking about how podcasting moves very quickly to respond to the moment, right? Like broadcasting is an extension of news, and news in some ways you're being responsive to a moment in time, and sometimes you say things that like you may not mean or may not be like the most maybe like thought out thing that you
Mhm.
want to say, right?
Yeah.
And so I think, right, I don't want to focus so much on what not like not on them making, because I think there's also a lot of context or nuances around them saying it and what it means that they say it, right? That these two folks say it, or that the people like them say this type of thing. And when I say like them, I mean folks represent those identities that may be in different spaces of privilege or power than other identities that they talked about. And so really I'm thinking about, right, like I'm always mindful myself of, not that I think we are the most brilliant and amazing podcast, though I feel like we are, because we are
Mhm.
award winning,
You
and
are.
not that we're the most
Mhm.
public of people in the world, but like I'm always very conscious of, I know that what I say in any way and online or in person can come back to haunt me. One, but two, also that I want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about before I say something at all. Like my background's in journalism, so I'm always, my background in education is in understanding the objective truth about something, or understanding all the facts about something before I report on it, right? And not really making so many opinions about things. And I have a lot of opinions about things, but I don't always share
Mhm.
them because I think I one never want to tell anyone what they should or should not do. And that's my first thing, is I never want to tell anyone what they should or should not do, right? If folks who have followed me for a long
Right.
time, they know that I do, when it comes to our election seasons, I will often do information about different props that are around my city or in California. And I never say I will not tell you what to vote for. I'll tell you what I know about them and what I'm voting on, but I'll never say what you should vote on because I never want to be the person that says you should do X, Y, Z because I could be wrong. I'm thinking about this very much a la Traders. If people watch Traders, I last night's episode, one of the people had brought up why they thought someone was obviously the traitor, and they were so wrong, right? They were so wrong. They're like, and they're like
wrong
they're
is two left shoes, honey.
they're like, I know
Wrong
it's
is two left
them.
shoes.
I know it's them because I heard their laugh, and
Uh-huh.
I'm a music producer, so I know. And I was like, girl, don't because the second you throw on your credentials and then you're wrong, you look dumb, you look bad. And so like I'm never trying to tell everybody I'm the most perfect person in the world, but also I don't want to steer people in the wrong direction and also make them feel like they don't have agency in what they want to do. So I think right a way it could have been handled was saying, we know that so and so is not leading in the polls in some way, or at that point they were leading the polls. Let's talk about that. But so and so isn't leading in the polls, maybe, right? Or maybe I don't feel like I believe in what their core topics are on like on their platform. That's different, right? And so, but like when we're being prescriptive or instructive with others, that is where to me it really creates a huge margin for error and making like yourself like not look great, but also people then don't trust you, right? Because then it's about how then they might not trust you, right? Then you are this person that they look up to for maybe fashion or maybe culture, right? And then people will not trust what you think, but they'll also question your integrity of what you do as well too, right? So I think people in this moment
That's
are looking
gag.
at are looking at this show, or or people who do these opinions as well, and like, well, I don't listen to you for politics, but now I'm questioning you as a whole because your politics may not align with mine either. And so I think people need to be responsible of how they share something, how they begin to like portray themselves as someone who knows XYZ. And I want to be clear of like, I'm not saying that people who like don't know shouldn't say anything, because I think that's also like gatekeeping and it's like highly limiting. I don't think it should be like, if you don't know this fully, you shouldn't say anything. I think everyone can have opinions and everyone can share them if they want to, but be really mindful of what it means, especially when you hold a lot of power and privilege in your space too, right? Like if you hang out with an international pop star, then like that your word might carry some more weight for people, right? That word may actually lead people to not supporting somebody else and being detrimental to that person's career. And that's not a game that I want to play ever myself. So those are my initial thoughts. I want to pass to Scott to hear what you think.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about this a lot because trans people are experiencing this too, right? I think this was a really perfect example of a well-meaning liberal progressive person acting out a right-wing talking point, right? Which I'm sorry, like if you're like when you're talking about somebody who's objectively great and you're saying like they're not a viable candidate, that's some white supremacy talking. Like that's less, right? And so like we're in this moment where all the veils are being ripped away and we are all stepping in whatever poop we have not examined.
You can say
I can say
shit,
We're all
you can say shit.
Stepping in shit. We're all stepping in whatever shit we have not examined. And what I hope is that he learns from it rather than doubling down and getting calcified in that toxic mindset, because there's only two choices when it comes to being ignorant and getting caught. You could change or you can get worse. There's no middle path. And I say that as much to myself, right? I know that I am going to do something stupid because I'm a human being. We're all human, right? Like that reveals to I'm going to do something or say something stupid that reveals to everyone where I am caught up in something problematic that does not allow me to be the best version of myself that I want to be in the world. And the best I can do then is really just take the feedback, reflect, allow it to change me and do better. And also, I think too, to let the people who have stepped in it have the opportunity to do better, right? And not decide like, well, he said this thing last year, so he's dead to me, right? Like, I'll give you 10 minutes, to show me that you figured this out, and please make me proud. Like can we make the cliff instead of like you're gonna get canceled and like be done forever? Because when people do that, then they go to that calcified place of like, well, I'm already a bad person, so I can be worse, right?
Dave
Right.
Chappelle.
So
Yeah.
hello, don't give me, I need an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, right? But
I know
could we
it.
make the
Mm-hmm.
cliff like, I'm expecting better of you. Come on, show up. Do your
Mm-hmm.
work. I'm expecting you.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
That's a really good point because I'm also thinking about, right, when someone messes up and you in this instance, right, a lot of folks come out with with words and think pieces about it, and part of me is like, oh, like maybe it sounds like maybe you were waiting for them to mess up,
Right.
and not like, right, and I think that's not fair as well either.
No.
Like, I think, right,
No.
like, part of me
It's
is
not
like, if you have
conducive.
critiques, give critiques throughout the entire process. Don't wait until the big mess up to then come up and
Hmm.
say, well, actually, I've been thinking this for like a long time and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because then I'm like, okay, like, you're kind of preying on someone's downfall. And I mean, like, listen, your
Right.
life, your
Hmm.
choice, girl. Do what you want to do about someone's downfall. But then I think, to your point, it doesn't leave space for us to say, you know what, this person messed up and it messed up in a really big way, and I don't love it. But like, knowing that they have a huge platform, I want to help them be better. Right,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
want to help them make sure that they have the tools that they need to act to do better and be better for themselves, for the community, and for who they reach. So I really appreciate you saying that a lot, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I want to invite them.
Yeah, invite them
Hmm.
in. And I agree. I agree so wholeheartedly in this conversation, because I definitely do think, I think for me, the bigger thing that I've learned, and I'm continuing to remind myself of, is that I think we often get caught up in the situation of feeling like we need to be the expert on everything, and feeling like we have the knowledge on everything. And I think that's where we mess up the most, is that, I think, I forget who it was, but someone was saying, like, I remember there was an interview, I forget where it was. I think it was at an award show. It was, it was Tiffany Haddish. I don't give Tiffany Haddish a lot because it's Tiffany Haddish, but the one thing that I will say that she did well, a few years back, they asked her a question about, and it was related to the LGBTQ community. I don't know if you ever saw that clip. And the woman was asking her, and Tiffany Haddish says, "I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I don't, I'm sorry. I can't answer that question." And the lady kept asking her, and every response Tiffany kept saying was, "I don't know enough about the LGBTQ community to answer your question. I am so
Mm.
sorry. You want an answer from me, but you're not going to
Hmm.
get one because I don't know." And I think that's the thing I want more of us to do, especially with us who have a big platform. Like, I'm not going to purport myself to be someone who has a massive platform, but I do recognize that I carry 14,000 people on Threads, that I carry close to 15,000 people on LinkedIn. And so, and then across my other platforms, I have about another 5 to 6,000. So I have about 50,000 people, whether they be bots or not, who knows. I have about 50,000 people who have their eyes on me and what I'm doing, right? And so there comes a time for me to say, like, that, and this is what I talked to Joel about in our pre-show. I said, I know I don't know enough about Palestine to jump up online and say, let's do a
Hmm.
whole episode talking about what's going on in
Hmm.
Palestine. I don't know. I don't know enough of that. What I do know is that I want people over there to be safe. What I do know is I want them to eat. What
Mhm.
I do know is I want them to not have to live in fear. That's what I do know, and so I can say that on the air, right? But I don't know enough about the politics of it all for me to go in and say this person's doing this and this person's doing that and that person's doing that, and that's why it's a problem. No, I don't know. And so could I educate myself on that? Sure. Have I read articles? Yeah, because Jordan has sent me quite a few. Anna, same thing. Anna has sent me a whole bunch of stuff as well. Anna Hosnia is one of our executive producers. I do the work, but what I'm saying is I'm not going to take up the space to act like I know it all to be able to have a conversation. And so I think that's my take on it. I know, same thing. I know I'm non-binary trans, but I can't speak for trans men. I can't speak for trans women. I can't speak for my Black trans sisters. I don't know their experience, so I'm not going to do that. So I think, yes, can we amplify issues with our platform? If they would have amplified it in a way and said, you know what, I want her to be great, so I think her and her team, they need to think about this. Okay, I'm with you, Matt. I want to hear what you have to say. Okay, she should be thinking about this because she's in Texas and she has these are all the okay. It's laid out in a sense of you not saying it as truth. You're saying, I hope that somebody on her team is paying enough attention to these issues so that way we can get her the win. But to flat out just say what you say, it's
Yeah.
kind of careless, and so and honestly dangerous. And so I think that's the thing we're missing in this conversation, is that, it's okay for people to say, I don't have the range, I'm not going to speak on that. It is okay for people to say, I don't feel the need to be the smartest person in the room. I don't, just
Mhm.
because you have a mic and just because you're doing well on iHeart doesn't mean you're the smartest fucking person in the room. You're just, it doesn't mean that, right? I just keep saying, like, I keep saying, yes, I want to keep my, what was the thought I had? Hold on, I'm reading on my thought. This is why I keep. Yeah, I was gonna say that's why I keep my mouth closed when people start speaking about what is happening in wars and all in the governments and stuff. Uh, I'm here for ending the wars. Yes, hell, fucking yes. I want. Is war good for anybody? No, I know it's a problem. But am I gonna act like I have a solid stance on what's going on and all of the stuff in our government? No, I'm not a poli sci girl. I'm not a poli sci major. I don't know what y'all do over there. I don't know what's happening in the White House. I know it's trash, but I don't know what's going on over there, and it's not for me. So I think it's okay for some of us just to say, you know what, I don't have the range, and I'm gonna just go ahead and sit this one out. So. Mhm.
Whew, well, now we have encouraged some folks to clip it and zip it so you don't get a ticket. We're going to take one more break and come back with y'all's favorite segment. Yes, ma'am,
That's gonna be the title of this episode. Clip it and zip it so you don't get a ticket. My God.
We'll be back with our Yes Man, No Man Pam segment in just a sec.
All right, everybody. So we are back with the segment that y'all seem to love, honey. It's your yes, ma'am, and the no, ma'am, Pams. This is where we say yes to the things that we love, or we say absolutely not. Get that shit out of my face. To the things that we don't. And with that being said, mine are very quick this week. Actually, one of them may be a little, it may be a little on a lengthy side, but I'm gonna try to make it quick. I always say I'm gonna make it quick and they never be quick. But I'm gonna say all of this to say my yes ma'am this week. So I know, so I hope I don't get in trouble for this. And Joey, if I have to bleep this later, please let us know. All the ICE niggas getting doxxed. Yes, expose those cowards, honey. Yes, expose them. Show us who you really are. For the friends who are doing the work around that, who got their hands on the list and are letting us know who are the ICE people, you are doing God's work. Let us know. Let us know who they are.
They surveil us, so I'm not why
Mhm.
the guy
Yeah,
that they're being
fair's
surveilled
fair,
too. That fair
right?
is
Why you
like,
mad, honey?
And also, though, because like doxing comes from like it's kind of a bad word. Like, why don't we call it what it is? We're calling it gathering evidence of human rights abusers.
Yeah,
Just
yes.
saying.
That's literally it.
You know
That's
what I
literally
mean?
it.
Like,
Mhm.
love a reframe. Love a
Yes.
reframe. Yes.
You
Yes.
love it. You got to take the camera. Yes.
Okay.
Turn it
Let
around,
me
Mimi.
turn it
Turn it
around.
around. Turn it around, Mimi. Turn it around.
Ah,
Yes.
so-
So that's my yes, ma'am. Get those nuts out of my face. But yes, I definitely, if you are a drag race girly, you'll know that reference. My no man Pam. So one of them is menial. The other one is a very big one. I want to say no ma'am. I don't know the name of the person. Because again, I tend to not follow people I don't love. The person who is online who is dressing up in the fat suit and is trying to make fun of Samara for the work that Samara is doing, go to hell. I definitely think it's really sad when, and again, I don't know if any of you are following it or if you know, but there is an influencer who is using their
yeah, that
platform.
shit's so dumb.
It's
Girl.
tacky. And the thing that makes me want to gag even more is that people have tried to educate them and said, hey, what you're doing, it's really a bad look. They are doubling down on it. And then there are other influencers, specifically Amber's Closet, who is going behind them and is liking the stuff that they're doing. So this is not a call out. This is a call in to let people know, like, we see you, we see what you're doing, we see how problematic it is, especially in a time when we're all being targeted. Come on, y'all. We got to do better than this.
Mhm.
We got to do better than this. So y'all know better. And that's the thing I think that really pisses me off in this is that we all know better. There's enough
Yeah.
conversations about fat phobia and how that's specifically fat phobia for Black women, how that's like it literally is connected to everything that the LGBTQ community is dealing with right now, especially around trans issues. And yet people still play dumb like they don't get it, especially in our community. You're playing dumb. So it's tired, it's trash, it's cheap, it's low hanging fruit. Do better. The other last thing I wanted to quickly say: automated drive-throughs. The fuck. I don't know if any of you all have experienced one. It's awful. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I went through a Burger King the other day. I literally just wanted a chicken sandwich, and literally it was automated, and it was the worst experience I've ever had in my life. It's literally, I don't know. It's like they've taken the kiosks that are inside the actual restaurant and have put them outside now, and you literally have to just sit there and wait for this robot to like read you back your order. If you make a decision and you don't like it, it takes forever for them to correct it. It's really not giving what I think the folks think it's giving.
And they took somebody's job to make you do that work.
Yep.
Right? Like, come on.
And there's like 2 people working in the Burger King now. Like, and I mean, I know that they've only ever had like 2 or 3 people working there anyway. It's Burger King. But, I mean, like the reality is like now you're dealing with just one person who's now having to do everything inside. And now it's taking longer to actually get your meal because there's not enough bodies in the restaurant to be able to serve the demand. And so now and then that's the other thing. Like now the drive-thru is longer. Like the wait in the drive-thru is longer because this machine is messing up your order, or when you want to change something, you have to wait for the machine to process the fact that you want to change. So it's just a mess. It's just like I hate what AI is doing to us.
Yes.
We could do a whole talk on AI in a different episode, but I just really wanted to say the AI of it all. Burger King, please let's not make this a thing. But anyway, Scott, what are your yes ma'ams and your no ma'ams for this week?
Okay, so my yes ma'am would be all of the white cis straight people showing up on socials evangelizing like I wish they had always been doing about how they need to do the work and do better. I'm all for it. Glad you're here. Welcome. But I'm glad for that. My no ma'am, I need your help because I'm trying to figure it out. You know that meme where it's like the Gen Z language is the Gen X language is the boomer language, right? Okay. Okay. So like the Gen Z language is trans girls don't belong in sports because of a biological male advantage. Okay. The Gen X version is they, them doesn't make grammatical sense. The boomer version, is it you can catch AIDS from a toilet seat, or is that too stupid? I'm talking about the points that people are making that they think are smart, but that they actually have no idea that they're just Dunning-Kruger all over.
You thought you ate that. You thought you ate it, girl. It didn't. Literally.
Which is it? What it's like. I just want to make it really clear so that anytime I ever hear that, I just go, you know what you're actually saying, right? Like, you know that it's the same playbook by the same people, and you're supposed to be smarter than that. But look at you showing up a fool, right? Like, you look foolish.
You look foolish. You look foolish.
Take that fucking jacket off. Yes. You look stupid. Take that fucking jacket off. You look stupid.
Wow. Well, my yes ma'am. Honestly, this week was for plants. My yes ma'am was for plants. I have nothing to give it to the people. People horrendous, atrocious, horrible. My yes to plants. Plants for the world go round. I'm a plant parent to a good 10 beautiful plants, and they just make life feel better. They make life feel gorgeous. They look pretty in many places. So really, it's just plants. Don't do the damn thing. And I just have nothing to say to anybody else as people. My no man panda though, come on, yes. If you love someone trans, you're lucky. I love that sticker on the pot as well too. She's gorgeous.
Isn't she?
She's beautiful.
What kind of plant
so
is that?
Nicely beautiful.
And
she's
can you have it with cats?
I don't know because I don't have a cat.
What is it?
Oh, okay.
What plant is it?
Oh, I don't know. I just think it's pretty.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
I'm plant adjacent. My wife would know.
Got
She
it.
would tell us.
Okay. You know what? I'll ask her. I was like, hey, girl, you let us know. My No Man Pam, actually, John, my No Man Pam was going to be to the people that were out here making fun of Samara as well, too. Because I just think, like, you have nothing better to do with your life than showing other people, one, but also, like, it's like, could you come up with something else? Like, I'm
Can you come up with
just so
something
tired
else?
of people,
Can you come up with something else?
and I will say it, like, it's a moment of like, oh, we're going back into that we're going back into that era of life again. Recession indicator.
Like, what is
losing weight
this?
and people being fat phobic. Like, this is the indicator of the recession. Then no one has anything better to do besides make fun of fat folks for for just being themselves. And like God forbid someone wants to advocate for our bodies and make sure that we have the right access to things. Like, I just with people to understand.
What does it hurt you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing that's really driving me nuts in this convo. Like, I think
doesn't hurt you.
Maybe next week we have to probably spend some time talking and unpacking that. Because this week I'm sitting here and I'm going like, it's giving you're jealous that Samira has a platform for loving herself.
Absolutely.
And you don't.
Well, and that all she's calling for is just for fat folks to have meaningful access to life as well too. Through fashion. Like, that's it. That's it. But anyways, we gotta wrap this bitch up because y'all be
I know. All right. With that being said, please send us your thoughts, feedback, and email to blackfatfempod@gmail.com. This place is trash. You can also send us your thoughts via social media by interacting with our posts on Instagram and Threads by using the handle @blackfatfempod. Scott, where can our listeners find you?
I have the worst name ever. It's my last two names, which are really difficult to spell. Turner Schofield, @Turner Schofield. But just look up Scott Turner Schofield everywhere. Oh, I have that Beacons thing now. Go to beacons.ai/Turner Schofield, and all of them will be there. And you can find me everywhere you are, which I would love.
Yes. And you said, what was the name of the platform?
Beacons.
Where your film will
be? No, where my film will be. My film. Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps, out on 127 on Kinema. That's like cinema with a
Kinema.
K.
That's it. Yeah, I knew it. Yes. Kinema. Yes. All right. And Joho, where can the dolls find you?
Of course, my loves, you can find me every week as you do at Joho Daniels across all socials. If not there, my website JordanDaniels.com. If not there, you will find me trying to stay home, but probably not. And if you can't find me, ask John. John has a location. Will tell you where exactly I am.
I will. Yes, I do. I do keep my eye on where my sis be at, because sometimes I see it. I'm like, why is she literally up in the bay and didn't tell nobody? But yeah, literally, I will keep my eye on you. All right, y'all. Well, as for me, you can find me and everything about me and what I'm doing over down to Dr. John Paul. I'm Dr. John Paul everywhere. My website, www.drjohnpaul.com. You can also find me on social media that way as well. Go buy my book. Tell your mama, your cousins, your aunties, everybody in your family to buy the book. Funny enough, it was it tapped someone that I knew and said, I guess they were at Barnes & Noble. Didn't know I put the book out, sent my friend a message, and then my friend sent me a message and she said, look, people are seeing it. So it's really good to know that it's still out there in the world and that everybody can get their hands on it. You can also go watch my spot on ABC if you didn't get a chance the last couple of months. Go watch that over on Hulu, Who I Am Meant to Be. With that being said, this has been another show. Stay black, fat, femme, and fabulous. And remember what, Joho?
We may not be your cup of tea, girl, but drink some Fiji water, because when you know better, you do better for yourself.
Yes, in the name of Miss Maya Angelou, when you know better, you do better. Amen. Also, put some lotion on your ashy knees. I was in the airport yesterday and I said, this man was so fine, but his elbows and his knees were ashy. And I said, I can't. You are too cute to have ashy knees and really not. Your face is beautiful, but you got ashy knees and ashy elbows. Baby, get it together. All right, y'all. We'll be back next week. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Bye. The Black Fat Femme podcast is executive produced by Joey Pat and Dr. John Paul.
All content related to the show is edited by Chris Rogers.
This has been a podcast by iHeartMedia and Dr. John Paul, LLC.
The Black Fat Femme podcast,
where all the intersections of identity are celebrated, honey.
I know that's right.